I apologize, I'm all out of tea. I can't slurp it right now. I'll have to get more tea after this episode. But I just really wanted to jump in here real quick and talk about men and strength. And I'm not talking about muscles, although, sure, that's cool too. But this is kind of a deeper topic than I generally talk about, like, ever. But there's an interesting phenomenon going on. I don't know if you want to call it a phenomenon. I don't know. A thing I noticed that seems to be happening a lot. You see it more on social media because that's where you see everything these days. But even with people I've met, this idea of what it means to be a man and what it means to be strong as a man. And I think it's oddly politicized because I think it is currently serving a certain political party in the States. Meanwhile, it's doing a disservice to the men who are kind of falling for it. And so, but I also have a bit of insight on this as someone who was raised in the church, because sometime in the 60s or 70s, the Republican Party and conservatives here in Canada decided that it was a good marketing scheme to closely associate their political party with religion. Because if you can essentially make zealots that way. You can be like, oh hey, if you are being prosecuted by insert political opponent, it's because of your religion. Therefore, do your religion more, and if you want to be a real Christian or a real, I don't know, I guess in this case Christian, but whatever, then you have to vote for us because we stand up for your values. Even though if you actually look at most religious books, they're pretty apolitical, or at least, honestly, and some people would argue that they're more left-leaning than right, but that's a debate for other people to have, because I don't care. But the idea that, you know, Jesus or whatever religious figure would be strictly a right-leaning person is insane. But nevertheless, people have tried it. They tried marketing it that way, and it works. It works like a charm. And with this comes a lot of what is strength. And with a lot of polls and like other, I don't know, information coming out about the difference between men and women of Gen Z. Gen Z, in case I didn't clearly say that. And so men of Gen Z, for whatever reason, have had a spike in really wanting kids and to have a very submissive wife who is kind of more like, dare I say, lesser than them? I will dare to say that. It is a weirdly... Now, they'll claim that it's not sexist, because they'll say, oh, they're not worse or less than, they're just different. Different in the sense that they shouldn't make big choices. They shouldn't put their efforts into, you know, maybe being strong or independent or all these other things. You know, they make a good helper, which is, to be fair, something the Bible does sort of talk about. But if you get towards the end of the Bible, and especially all the parts of Jesus, how much more he stands up for women as equals. And like, emphasis on equal. That still does say different in some ways, but I think that, you know, a lot of the things are like, oh, it's equal but different, but secretly it's worse because they don't do the things that we as a society prioritize or think are more important. Therefore, it's just kind of worse. And that's dumb. Stupid bat! Whatever, it died. But, and then it kind of also ties into this thing with toxic masculinity, which is, I'm honestly not really sure what that is, other than, like, you are trying to perform as a masculine man, which is fine, but to an extent that you will kind of be a problem. I should maybe have looked up exactly a better definition of that before I started recording this. Move, dude, run. Whack. Ah. Come here. Oh my goodness, that fireball got in my way. No! Just I'm screwing up. Sorry, I can hardly think straight while I do this stupid semi-quarter boss fight thing. Will's gonna be telling me, oh, you can use the hammer. Just use the fucking hammer. And you know what? Maybe he's right. Where is the hammer? I don't even have the hammer yet. I can't use it. Oh, does he aim for you? I thought you just went around in circles. There we go. My goodness. But yeah, I see this thing though about online of, oh, to be like a good, strong man, you have to like make a lot of money. Or you have to be ripped. Or, I mean, that seems to be kind of it. Also, they don't put up with like women telling them stuff. They don't listen to women. And they see kids as more of like a status symbol. You know how you have a lot of kids, you're doing life the right way, and it's like, that's not strength. I'm sorry. If you think that there's only one path to like success or happiness or whatever, that's not strength. Strength is realizing the values, the pros and cons, and the benefits from different things. People with different values and opinions. People with different strengths and weaknesses than yours. Valuing what other people might value, because my idea of success and even my parents' idea of success are two very different things. And I see it a lot. Oddly enough, I don't see it much with the Gen X generation, which is my parents' generation. Though you do see it there, but I see it. Fucking open the chest. I mainly see it with Gen Z and even millennials who don't understand that there are people different than them, and that's not only okay. That's not something you should just tolerate. That is something to actually like. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's the best thing ever. We have to have so much. We have to celebrate it. We gotta... No, just fucking be an normal person. And enjoy living in a place that is constantly growing and developing because of new ideas. Because of new lifestyles. And don't see it as a threat. If for some reason you see that as a threat, I got news for you. You are weak. You are not a strong person. You're not a strong man if you see, oh, leftist ideas, or heck, I don't care, rightist ideas. If you think you're a strong man and you're left-leaning, and you see a right-leaning idea so-called threatens your views, it's not a problem. It's just someone with different views, and that's okay. Because let's face it, even though these days I'm more left-leaning than I think I am right-leaning, fuck me, I gotta fucking get a box all the way from the top of the fucking stairs. I get fucking picked up by these stupid bats. Hey, die. So if these things are a threat to you, that's weakness as well, I think. Not because it is something that could actually hurt you, because there are right now, I think, some right-wing ideas going on in the United States that are no doubt concerning. But the goal is should not be to just extinguish the right or whatever idea is threatening you, and it should not be to hate on people who disagree with you, even in the situation where you got these, I'll call them borderline Nazis. And here's the thing too, like, I say that as if it's like, ooh, I'm maybe going too far. Meanwhile, there's some things they've done that maybe I'm not going far enough. And also there are some people on the right in the States that straight up are like, no, we're Nazis. And it's like, oh, alright, cool. Hang on. But I think real strength, though, is actually being able to put yourself in the shoes of the person who you're talking to, even if it's someone you completely disagree with and hate, and you think they're totally wrong. Put yourself in their shoes and try and imagine the benefits that they want, that they think that it'll help with. A few people, there's been a number of them. One is very famous right now, mainly about a month and a half ago, was especially famous, who used to talk about how empathy is bad. And there's something about that that's really amazing to me, because in what world is empathy bad? I don't understand. Like, I'm actually sitting here thinking about, like, how is that bad? If without empathy, like, what are we? Are we just animals? Like, should we just cannibalize each other if we don't get what we want? Should we just, like, I don't know, segregate people based on their ideas? Based on maybe other attributes of themselves? Like, what's the end goal if you don't want to have empathy? I think it is childish at best to not want empathy, to want to dumb it down so that way people aren't daring to even listen to an idea that you think isn't okay. That's weakness. I guess all that said, I should maybe go to the flip side of things. If you are, well, there's two different ways I can break this down. So let's say there is a political party in charge that you agree with, like mostly, and they're doing what you think is good. It's all going well, you know, all coming up Millhouse type of stuff. Oh. And let's say those people in charge do eventually do something that's kind of not great. Or let's say it's still good for you, but it's not great for others. You need to have the humility and the strength to stand up for what's right and critique them on that behavior, that decision, whatever they're doing. That's strength, even if it's at your own cost. And I'm actually more looking at the boomer generation for this one, because they knew that what they were voting for. They knew they were voting for a world that is worse, but makes their generation thrive better in the moment, because it would help them skyrocket their wealth. And now I don't know a single boomer who doesn't have a large house, where they have two old people who sit there and do fucking nothing all day, other than, like, knit. Like, I got news for you, Grandma. Like, you can do that in a one-bedroom apartment. Meanwhile, the rest of us who are trying to grow families and have, dare I say, more involved hobbies, not that my hobby is more important than yours, but mine could use a little more space. I mean, I'm happy now. I've got a wonderful apartment we just moved into. We don't own it. If someone told me I was going to live here the rest of my life, I'd be content with that. But not the boomer generation, at least not the ones I know. They wanted more. They needed to have bigger, more, better, bigger, bigger, bigger. And I think that the kinds of people who, they still exist today. There are still Gen Zers who do this. There are still millennials who do this, and Gen Xers, where they go out of their way to make sure that they get theirs. They get bigger, more for themselves, frequently at the cost of other people. Knowing full well that this is maybe not a long-term solution to problems, and will not make their country better, the economy better, or whatever. And that's weakness. I don't think fighting for these rights or these laws or whatever, executive orders that are going to make your life better at the cost of someone else. You're a weak person. You are asking Big Daddy government, or maybe your actual daddy, to step in, make your life better at the expense of something else or someone else. That's weakness. You're weak. But the other side of that coin that I wanted to talk about was But what about when the government is doing something bad? Maybe they're like really bad, okay? But you're still benefiting from it. Or even if you're not benefiting from it, it doesn't matter. If you see that your government, or it doesn't have to be a government, any kind of community, it could be your group of friends who play video games with you, it could be your family, it could be whoever. If all of that is going a bad direction and you don't do something about it, if you see someone who's, you know, growing some narcissistic, maybe abusive tendencies, and you don't curb stop it in some way, like towards the beginning, ideally, you don't step up for someone who's getting, no, you know that one friend who they try and say something and then everyone else just talks over them? Be the good person, be the strong person who steps up and says, no, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear that story. I want to hear that joke. Tell me about your hobby. And I don't care if it's fucking boring. Do it. Because I've been in all three situations before. I've been the kid who no one wants to talk to. Who people will say, Tanner, shut up. No one wants to hear what you have to say. And that's fine. Maybe it's true. But I've also had someone step up for me and say, no, I want to hear it. And I've also gotten to be the person who did both. Someone started talking, and then they kind of got drowned out, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, that kid's kind of annoying. But there's also times where I've gotten to step up and say, no, I want to hear about it, even if it's boring. And you know what? Hopefully, that gave that kid some confidence, or let them know that someone cares. Because that's what matters. This isn't about you. Life isn't about you. In fact, I'm 5'9". I'm the average height for all men in the world. I'm 1 inch lower than the average height here in Canada. So I'm actually very happy to say that life is about me. Every chair is made for me. Every car is made for me. Every desk, it's made for me. Every roller coaster, it's made for me. So life's actually about me. I'm just kidding. That'd be a good way to end this episode, though, wouldn't it? I think so. Anyway, be strong. Don't just fight for yourself or for your family. Fight for everyone, even if it's at your cost. But don't take at the cost of others. Value everyone else as equals. Well, I mean, in certain situations, of course. If you're like at work and you're doing like an engineering job and like, you know, Joe Schmo off the street who can barely change his own tires comes in and is like, here's how you should do an engineering job. Maybe don't listen to that guy. But like, generally speaking, we're all in this together. And if you see it as an us versus them at any stage, politically, color for some reason, because you're a fucking retard, whatever. Like, shut the fuck up. We're all in this together. If you can't live in a world where everyone has equal rights and everyone's treated equally and everyone has some level of value, and if you can't respect that mixing pot of ideas, you're a piece of crap. You're weak. You're not strong. Anyway, let's listen to this guy talk about whatever the fuck he's talking about. You know what? I think this was a great game, though, to really highlight my my point. This is a great example. Link shuts the fuck up. He helps people. He fights evil. And even though there's different kinds of people in this world, he's stepping up for all of them. Isn't that nice? Although, technically there's only one colored person in this whole game, and the kids immediately assume he's evil. Which, I mean, it's a coincidence that they're right, but... anyway, let's not focus on that. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.